Welcome to a Parallel Project Training, APM Project Management Qualification podcast based on the APM Body of Knowledge 7th edition. You should be using this in conjunction with our e-learning, podcasts, and potentially a tutor-led course. For more information, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.
Right, well, welcome to another Parallel Project Training podcast. This is based on the Body of Knowledge 7th edition. My name is Jan Underdown, and across the table I have Paul Neighbour.
Hello, Jan.
How are you doing, Paul, today?
Very good.
Excellent. Okay, so today we're covering for the PMQ, the leadership aspect of it. And so the topic it's going to cover today is explain how leadership affects team performance motivation. So Paul's going to talk to you about different models we can use for that, including Maslow, Herzberg, etc. And also, why is it necessary for a project manager maybe to change their leadership styles to effectively support the management of a project? So it's how we can be flexible in that. Okay, so Paul, what makes
so
a good
lot
leader?
of this is blindingly obvious, and a lot of this is
do you think
model based. So the blindingly obvious stuff is explain how leadership affects team performance and motivation. So have you ever worked with a team that did a bad leader?
Oh yes.
How motivated were you?
Oh, pretty awful. Didn't last very long.
So you ever worked with a team with a good leader?
Yes. Actually, used to use them as a role model.
And what? Okay. And how motivated were you then?
Very.
Why?
Because they kind of led by example. They actually looked after the team. They knew the team by name and also by personality. They actually pulled an awful lot out of the person, enabled them. They actually empowered and enabled. So yes, and also provided you opportunities for the future.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the leadership definition. Leadership is the ability to establish a vision, direction, influence, and align others towards a common purpose.
Yes.
And empower, inspire other people to achieve that success.
Yes, they're very focused. They actually drive the energy forward.
Yeah.
And also your part in that is quite useful.
So what do we get? We get more effective resolution of conflicts. We get less people leaving organisations in better leadership. We get more better recruitment because people are attracted to successful teams. You get less sickness and absence.
Yes.
You get better quality work. So there's many benefits of effective leadership. I expect it's more also that ability to pull together to achieve something, really.
Yes, it is. And it's often when you get higher attrition rates within teams is look to the leader. What's actually happening there.
Yeah. So there's a couple of theories that we can use to explain this, Herzberg and Maslow.
Okay, so what does Herzberg say? What motivates people in terms of Herzberg?
So Herzberg is a motivational theory that comes from the sort of 1960s. A lot of these are from the 1960s, really. And what Maslow says, it splits up the factors that can lead to motivation into two groups, really. And what they call hygiene factors, things that you notice them if they're missing.
Right, so it's not about washing your hands or anything like that?
No, so they're not about washing your hands. So, well, yeah, it could be. But so the good example someone told me once is the sewers in a hotel.
Oh, gosh,
venue.
yes.
If they're working, you don't notice them. But if they're not working, you definitely do.
Notice them, yes.
So that's things like, have you got sufficient lighting? Is the food okay where you're staying, in the office? Is your
bed clean, the shower's clean?
That's right. So in an office, have you got a comfortable chair to sit in? Does
the IT work?
Does the IT work? Is the, company policies okay? Do you get on all right with your people we work with, And so those are hygiene factors. So they don't make it really great to go to work, but they make it okay. But if you don't like your people you work with, or
they can demotivate you.
You've got a really uncomfortable desk you have to sit at, or you're sitting under the air conditioning and it's spewing muck out over you and it's freezing cold, they really demotivate you.
Yeah. So they're not motivated in their own right, but if they're not there.
So the controversial one is its salary.
I know, that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, there's another theory called Vroom's expectancy theory that says if your salary is linked to performance, so your performance goes up, so your salary goes up, that's quite motivational. So salary is motivational, but it's more recognition of the performance that you've achieved.
Right.
So what Herzberg says is, as long as your salary is the same as everybody else and fair for what you do, it won't motivate you or demotivate you
Yes,
significantly.
there's lots of research around that, isn't it, about how salary motivates or does not motivate.
So a bonus is motivating.
Right.
So achieving a bonus for a specific objective is motivating.
Mm-hmm.
So then the other side, they have motivators, things that make you more motivated, that you will notice. So things like recognition for the work,
Yes.
progress, promotion. Sometimes if the work's interesting and engaging, that can motivate you.
Well, you got to be careful again on this recognition thing, because a lot of people do not want to be employee of the month and being held in,
No.
with cameras flashing and stuff. That would be pretty awful for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I expect, how's that apply to projects? So how can we apply that theory to the project environment?
I think if the project is interesting and you know your role within the project itself, and how your piece of work contributes to the project, and it is kind of making a difference, there's a lot to be benefited from that to motivate you. And also you're being developed very often, especially working in something like a matrix organisation, when you're thinking, and the project manager is a really good, engaging leader. But sometimes on the demotivational side, the hygiene factors, well, we can't get the resources, or the machine's always broke, or we're working in grimy and horrible conditions. Why are things so hard? Or even if we're trying
okay, so we could criticise Herzberg, because sometimes people like the pressure of a difficult job. So you think about people who dig tunnels
or firefighting.
Firefighting. You know, the conditions are very difficult, but there's the hygiene factors are outweighed by the motivational factors, the team working and the commitment.
Okay, so you become like the champion.
Yeah, if you believed Herzberg, no one would ever climb the Alps or go up Everest, because why would you do that?
But that's the challenge, isn't it? Because it's there. It's like, why do we run marathons? Because we can.
So giving people a sense of purpose, recognising what they achieve, giving them a clear role and responsibility, and that is a really important part.
Okay.
So all these models have their weaknesses as all. So the other learning outcome we have to do was
the changing the leadership style.
Why do you have to change your leadership style? So there's a model for this too, isn't it, called Hersey and Blanchard?
Yes, this is really
1977.
misunderstood an awful lot, because very often the exam questions we get is around the flexibility of the leadership style. We're not expected to actually quote a model, but a model gives you an idea of how we can change our styles to suit the situation or the person we're trying to actually engage with.
Yeah. So it talks about different types of maturity in the people who are following us, doesn't it? So how people might be sort of new to a job, and so they need a lot of coaching and support to get
something
into
like
that
maybe
job.
Graduate or newbie to the role completely.
That's right. Or someone might be sort of competent, but you still need them to be committed to the work.
Right.
So they might have the knowledge to do the work, but they still lack you don't quite trust them enough to do the work, so you need that emotional commitment. Or there might be somebody who's really highly competent or highly ready to do the work, and you basically delegate to them and let them get on with it.
Yeah, like for example, you may have a fully qualified engineer who's worked on projects elsewhere, but not within this organisation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So different maturities of the people who we're going to follow, and how we need to adapt our leadership style to reflect those different maturities.
Would our leadership style change depending on where people actually progress, perhaps from the starter into that very...
Yeah, that's right. So they might go from this low readiness to moderate readiness to high readiness.
Right.
Okay. And then a situation might be different too. So you might have someone who's, like you said, they might be experienced, but they might go into a management role for the first time.
Yes.
And so they go from a high level of maturity down and need more support and coaching.
Yes.
As they make that transition.
Do you find that sometimes people never move out of one particular part of that model? They never want to learn, or they never want to do... Unless you don't, if you don't tell them to do it, they actually won't do.
I think some people don't want to. I think some people are quite happy. So we're talking about organisational types, factories. So where people, I think people move to a high levels of maturity in that role, don't they? They take ownership and delegation. I don't know. Would
Right.
you always want to be?
Well, most people do.
junior.
They're quite happy.
Yeah.
Quite happy to do the handle turning. Not everybody aspires to be.
Delegated to have the responsibility of delegation.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so to summarise, what we're talking about here is the project manager's ability to change different approaches and styles depending
Depending on the
upon,
different people they work with.
and also the situation they're working within.
Yes.
Okay, so it's very complex kind of tasks. You may be very directive.
Yes.
Do this, don't argue. We don't have time to discuss this, just do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, what we need to do is personalise our approach
yes.
to fit with the different people who are following us, really, in the different situations we find ourselves in.
Right. Right. Okay. And we need to consider that in terms of their personal development.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Paul.
Good. Thanks very much, Jan.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast and found it informative. To find out about our training courses, e-learning or tutor-led course, please go to www.parallelprojecttraining.com.